there's not like a straight line that you have to follow.
Personally, I'm not trying to be insulting, but I think it's a huge freaking waste of money.
University, graduated, and they don't even work in their field.
I've gone to see this one psychic. She was like so spot on with things.
Once a cheater, always a cheater.
For no reason, they just cheat on their partner with like multiple people throughout their entire relationship.
Yep. Hey everyone, welcome back to Tellmesispodcast.
Featuring your two favorite sisters,
Alex
and Kyla.
So today's episode is really exciting. We're going to be talking all about unpopular opinions. We kind of just thought of some on our own, and then I also Googled a few, and then you thought of some things too.
I thought of, wow, I can't speak. I thought of some on my own. I'm actually curious to see everyone else's opinion on this.
I know, because these can be kind of controversial, and I have a feeling we agree on some of them, but not on all of them.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna jump right into it, and feel free to leave any kind of comment, like it's totally fine. So the first one, I'm just gonna go to our text messages because I sent it to you. Okay, so this is a pretty popular one, but it's once a cheater, always a cheater. Thoughts and opinions on this. Do we agree? Do we disagree?
I agree, but also I do have like, I do think that there are exceptions. Like maybe it's possible that, you know, in a relationship, one person has cheated once, not saying it's okay, but this person has cheated once and then like they never do it again in that relationship or any like relationships after that. I think this applies more to like someone who serial cheats and like cheats often, not just like a one-time thing, like a mistake kind of thing.
So like a Ross and Rachel type thing. Actually, really quick, do you think he cheated?
Technically no, but I do think that it was like
really wrong.
Really wrong. Yeah.
I think for myself, it depends on the situation, and there's like different tiers for me, because it's like there's physical cheating, there's emotional cheating, there's so many different aspects to cheating. Was it during a time where you guys, like, it's so specific towards the relationship, right? Like, were you in a really bad place where you're basically almost broken up, and then you had like one mistake where you accidentally kissed, well, you don't accidentally kiss somebody, but you know what I mean, like you're wasted off your butt, you kiss someone, and then is that like you're a cheater for life now? Or is it something like you said where you full on cheat and then you're either caught or you're not, but you full cheated?
Because there's definitely people that every time they're in a relationship, for no reason, they just cheat on their partner with like multiple people throughout their entire relationship. And then they'll go to another relationship and do the exact same thing. So like I think in those cases it's like once a cheater, always a cheater. But when it comes to like a one-time thing and it was an actual, either a mistake, like the person was really drunk, or
I just like, it's hard to say mistake, because like yes, there can be mistakes, but it's almost like, what do you mean mistake?
Like,
I would just never,
an idiot.
You know what I mean?
Like you're stupid.
Yeah.
And you made a stupid decision. Like it was a mistake on your end.
But I definitely think it's so dependent on the scenario and the relationship itself, because I couldn't speak for somebody else in that relationship. If you wanted to give someone a second chance, that is totally on you, and I can understand that. For me, it's kind of like if you give that second chance and then they do something again, then it's like it's over. There's no more chances after that.
Yeah, exactly. In that case, then I would say like, yeah, once a cheater, always a cheater. Like they're not learning, they don't care. It's just they're about themselves, selfish.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think that once a cheater, always a cheater.
I don't. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like it depends. How often is the person cheating? Is it in every single relationship?
Yeah, we don't know. But I think my
regardless,
answer is still
both things. Like no matter what, if you cheat once, it's still wrong.
Yes, 100%.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. And then also like I said, different aspects of cheating, like physically cheating, emotionally cheating.
Exactly.
Different, like, did you have sex with a person? Did you just kiss them?
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so other hot take is college is not mandatory. So here's the thing. I wrote that because I really think it depends on the career path that you choose and that you want for yourself. Obviously, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, there are definitely, like, you'll need to go to school for those things.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many careers out there that you actually don't need degree for. A degree always helps. I'm not saying to not go to college, but I don't think that it's the same importance than it was back in the day, like when, not when we were kids, but you know, like when our parents were, for example, like you kind of needed that.
Yeah.
Now we have so much access to online courses. we have so much access to free information. We can literally study ourselves and work through experience. And there are so many people I know that work in business, especially women in business, that have had zero training or literally have a psychology degree and then now they run their own business. Nothing to do with psychology.
Yeah.
Like there are so many different things you can do that don't involve school, especially when it comes to marketing, advertising, social media in general, because things work so fast.
Yeah.
And like by the time you're finished schooling anyways, things are different.
Yeah, I have the exact same opinion as you on that. Like, definitely if it's like a doctor, engineer, lawyer, I mean, if you want to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist, definitely you need schooling as well. But when it comes to a lot of other degrees, you could really teach yourself.
And I have so many friends that literally studied something in university, graduated, and they don't even work in their field.
Me.
Yeah, I know. But like a lot of people that have like a specific degree in like, let's say something specific like psychology.
Okay.
And now not even anything remotely the same. They're working in something different. It's like their degree didn't even apply to what they're doing now.
Yeah.
But
sometimes it's just like employers will just look at a CV and be like, oh, okay, she has a university degree. This just tells me that they have a certain work ethic and they're able to stick it out for like...
Not even though, Kyla, like that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm not agreeing with.
No, but I'm saying that like with that, it's like companies don't, even if they say, okay, yeah, university degree, it's not as like serious anymore. Like, you know, like they're, like sometimes if you go on like Glassdoor or Indeed and you'll look up like a job requirement for a specific job, they're like, okay, university degree in either one of these fields, but other ones could apply as well. Like they just kind of want like, oh, we just want to see that like there's a university degree there, but it's like pointless.
Yeah. I mean, I even know people that like are CEOs of companies that like they'll hire people and they look at more experience. Like, where did you work? Tell me about yourself in the interview. It's basically not even like an interview about skills. It's getting to know the person.
Didn't Elon Musk say that when he hires people...
Screw that guy, honestly. Sorry.
But like, didn't he say that when he hires people, he looks at more of like their experience, like their hands-on experience, and also like he asks them questions about their personality. Like he wants to know the person and he doesn't care about the schooling. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if that was him or I don't follow anything about him, but like I would agree with that. You know, just because I've seen so many different situations and there's so many different careers now, like social media now, and even just being a social media strategist or a management team, or even working where you create content for brands and it's not you personally. You're just like hired, I forget the word for it, but you're hired as someone to create content for brands, almost like a model, but with like, let's say TikTok or Instagram or whatever.
Like a digital content like a digital marketing.
Yeah, there's a word for it. I forget, it's like UGC or UCG or something like that. Anyways, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're basically paid by brands to create content for those brands, but you aren't like the influencer. You're just like the model or something, you know? So there's like, you don't even have to show your face. Like there's definitely so many things that you could do. There are people that are making so much money off of Etsy with selling just like graphic design and like just it's possibilities are almost endless now. There's so many different things that you can dabble in. I know people that become extremely successful and create their dream job with no background. And one of my favorite people to listen to, Amber, fill her up, because she basically just went to hair school and now has 2 successful huge businesses and always felt extremely insecure that she didn't have a college degree. And then there are people like these really big businesswomen being like, can I pick your brain? And she was thinking, what? Like, I can't believe that. You know, it's just, there's things you can do that you just don't...
You don't need a degree.
No. Definitely. And even like working the corporate 9 to 5, like you can definitely make a dream job for yourself working that way. If, you know, there's certain aspects of it that you like and that you want and whatever, but you also don't need to have that life if you don't want that life.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many options now.
The next thing is manifestation. I wanted to talk about this because I know we're like similar but also different with this. What do you think about it?
I think manifesting is, I like it. I manifest all the time. I always like, you know, look at angel numbers like 1111. I always make a wish at 1111. I try to, if I'm working towards something, instead of saying like, oh, if this works out, I'll say things like when this works out, like when I get to this point, because the way I think manifesting works is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the more you talk about it, and the more you really convince yourself that like this is what I want and it's going to happen, you're gonna make that happen.
Is it kind of like a fake it till you make it?
Exactly.
But do you think this applies to like everyone, or just people that already kind of have the upper hand with things?
I mean, it's definitely easier for people that have like the upper hand with things, but I do think that this could apply to everyone. But yeah, I think it could. If you're determined enough to make something happen, I think it could apply to everyone. But I don't know, like I feel like as I'm saying this now, I'm like, oh my gosh, this could get so controversial.
It is.
I would actually like to hear other people's opinion, and if you have a different opinion than me on this, like let me know down in the comments.
But this is the thing, because I hear manifestation all the time on social media, and to me I see it as more as a form of kind of believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And I like that aspect of it. Instead of being like, oh, if this happens, or putting out negative energy, you're actually putting out something positive.
Yeah.
And, you know, positivity attracts positivity. And, like, there's things that happen in life that suck. And just, like, everyone goes through it. Like, just the worst of the worst, right? But if we let that completely ruin our whole goals and our lives and everything like that, we're not going to amount to anything. Because we're going to just wallow in our self-pity.
Yeah.
So we allow ourselves to feel crappy in that moment. And then we actually move on from it, and we, like you said, almost
it's
like
self-fulfilling prophecy.
You create a vision board of things that you want in your life, and you work towards it. I don't think like making these huge goals of like, I'm gonna have a super successful business by next year. You know, it's like, start small, make this, you can have these long-term big goals that you go for, but then you start with the smaller ones. Like,
yeah, and take it day by day.
Exactly.
And keep the goals realistic. It's good to stay realistic with certain things, and like create short-term goals and long-term goals, and like be patient.
Yeah.
And continuously tell yourself that it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like you obviously have to put in the work to make it happen.
Yes, it doesn't appear
with manifesting. That manifesting doesn't work if you're just always like wishing for things but not doing anything about it. Like you have to put in the work. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to try, fail, and just, you know, if you fail doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's a learning experience, and then you get up and you try again. And I think that that's the whole point of manifesting. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Honestly,
guys.
I was just about to say, like, that was so beautifully said, and I agree.
Okay.
No, and honestly, like,
I'm like literally exhausted.
Yeah, we both had a really long week, but that's why we're trying to like get together, have fun, and just like switch the vibe. Okay, actually manifestation leads us into a little bit of what you said, and that was psychics, because I feel like we completely disagree on this aspect.
So
actually maybe not, I don't know.
I used to be like not for psychics at all, and I think there are so many psychics that are very like, they will rip you off. Like there's people that genuinely
like in
just want your money.
Anything, there's people.
But then
that
I do think that there's people that have these abilities to like, they're able to like see things and like understand people, and like just by looking at a picture sometimes it's like spot on. Like I've gone to see this one psychic that I've seen her 2 or 3 times now. She was like so spot on with things that it was freaky. Okay, but when it doesn't mean that they're going to be right about absolutely everything. I was going to say, then if she's wrong about things, then wouldn't that just be a coincidence then, the thing she was right about? But they're so specific that it's like, I don't know how she could have known that. But then how come she was wrong about the other things that were specific? It's possible it just hasn't happened yet. No, she said that year. Like what? The bad thing. She didn't say it was that year. Oh, wonderful. Well, she didn't predict COVID. Well, I also told her though, I also said I don't want to hear anything negative after she said the bad thing. Okay. I don't know. I have such a hard time. Here's the thing. This is why I find it so funny that we disagree on this, because I'm more of a spiritual person, and you literally in one of the last episodes were like, I'm atheist. And I know believing in God is like something so different, but like the fact that I'm more spiritual and then yet are so like against psychics is kind of funny. And then the opposite for you. And I think it's because I just don't believe them. I don't know. I feel like that's going to come across as insensitive to people that like genuinely go through this, but it's just so hard for me in my brain to think that this person could know randomly. Like I need to see the evidence. I need to see. You're more of like an evidence-based person. I used to be like that. Doesn't make sense though, because I'm more spiritual in other ways. Like I believe in spirits or something, you know? Like I believe in something with the universe. Like I don't know 100%, but like I definitely am more open-minded. I feel like you have, it's a psychic thing. You want to believe in spirits because you want to believe that you don't just like, once you pass away, it's just gone forever. I think that comes more from fear. Maybe. So maybe you're like trying to convince yourself that like oh no, there is something when you pass away. Like, there is an afterlife. There are spirits and like guardian angels and stuff.
I don't know. It's just so hard.
I believe that.
Because we were like raised so not religious at all.
I mean, Dad is a lot more spiritual.
Well, yeah, Daddy is religious. He didn't raise us religious, but he always said if ever we had questions or want to talk about stuff, like, open to us talking to him about it. It's more just, it's the psychic thing that gets me. I don't know. Like, maybe it's because I've never experienced it, and I'm just hearing your stories.
That's the thing. You've never experienced it, but I mean, it's you're allowed to believe what you want to believe. Just because you don't believe in it and I do doesn't mean that
I know
you're wrong and I'm right. You know, like, I have moments too where I'm like, is it just a coincidence? But like, she has predicted things that were so accurate, and like the pictures I've showed her of people, it's like, how do you know this about this person?
I feel like they're really talented as scam artists. Like, that's what I believe deep down.
That they do all this research and they can figure out everything.
Like, it's people that are in vulnerable situations that are not doing the best in life, and that go, and then it's a big coincidence if certain things kind of line up, and then other things are wrong, but you like disregard them because you're like, yeah, but they were right about this thing. And it's like, okay, but I don't know. I just have such a hard time believing in it. Like, really hard time. But
I would be so curious to see. I feel like I should have you come to the girl that I've gone to.
Is that allowed? It's not a conflict of interest?
No.
Oh. But I don't want to know, like, scary things.
So you say that. And I would like to see, like, how you feel after leaving. Maybe we could do that one day and, like, talk about it.
Yeah.
Your experience with it.
Yeah.
That could be an entire episode on its own.
Maybe she'll change my mind, or maybe I'll call her bluff and be like, you're just a scam artist.
I mean, don't do that. It's really rude.
I would never to her face.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in my mind.
Yeah.
Could she tell if I'm lying?
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think she would say anything.
Okay. Like, I wonder if she knows when people go in, if they're skeptical. Skeptical?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay. Like, I know this is people's careers, and that's why I feel like it's gonna sound insensitive, but it just, like, it's so hard for me to genuinely believe it. Like, I would need to experience it to fully make my opinion.
Fully see, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the next thing I wrote are weddings are overrated. So
I think weddings are so overrated. I think that there's a part of me where I'm like, do I ever want to have a wedding? Like, I don't know. I think weddings are, like, personally, I'm not trying to be insulting, but I think it's a huge freaking waste of money.
Okay, so as coming from someone who did have a wedding and also paid for the wedding entirely myself with my husband, I could say that I think it depends on the wedding. Because for me, like, if I could live that over and over again, I would. And I would pay that money over and over again. Like, to me, that was one of the best nights of my entire life. Like,
I think it could be. I mean,
I don't think you
I'm
need
sure
it.
some brides have had, like, stories from, like...
No, listen, I know that there's bad weddings. I know there's good weddings. I know you can go just to like, the courthouse and get married with a witness. Like, there's so many different ways. You don't need to have a wedding and spend all this money to have, like, this perfect day. But I have to say, for my wedding, I loved it. And there's a few friends' weddings that I just really loved, but I don't necessarily believe that you need to have.
Yeah, like, that. I just feel like, I'm not saying that, like, this is how I'm gonna, like, maybe one day if, like, I get proposed to, at that time, like, maybe I will decide, oh, maybe I do want to have a wedding. But, like, right now, like, I just think it's a big waste of money.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
it's so expensive.
It is.
Like, use that money for, like, a down payment on a house or something. I'm much more of, like, a logical person when it comes to money. So for me, it's like, I just recently bought a car and I was like, it's not an investment. Like, I feel like I'm just, like, throwing my money out the door. But, like, I'm not throwing my money out the door because it's a car. Like, it gets me from point A to point B. But I'm like, it just sucks that, like, this doesn't go up in value and I can't resell it for more, right? Like, that's the way I see things. And so I'm always like, oh, like, this amount of money you should invest it, or like do this with your money, and like it's like the smarter thing to do. So for me, when I think of like weddings, I'm like,
okay, well, what do you think about travel then? Because that doesn't go up in value.
Travel is one of the best things you can do for your soul, and it's really good for you.
It's an experience, right?
It's an experience, but also you learn about yourself. You're learning about other cultures. You're opening up your mind. It's
100%.
It's good for you overall. Whereas like for a wedding, it's like, yeah, of course you pay, it's for the experience, but I see it definitely more as like, it's, yeah, I don't understand it anymore. I don't know. When I was younger, I was like, I definitely want to get married and have a huge wedding, and now I'm like,
I think if I already had a family, like if I had kids before, I wouldn't get married, because my priorities completely changed once I had Arkham.
Yeah.
Like, how I spent my money, how I saved my money, what I do with my money, it completely gets switched in my mind. So I think personally, if I had a kid before I got married, I wouldn't have a wedding. But because I didn't, I had saved all this money specifically for the wedding. Like, we were engaged for 2 years and really saved up for 2 years for this wedding. It was like worth it for me, like looking back on it. But I don't necessarily think you need it. And I think also, like, if you have kids,
like, you don't look back on it and think, like, and this isn't me trying to say this is how you should feel. Like, I'm actually just, like, I'm just curious. I'm just asking. Like, you don't look back on it and think, like, wow, I really could have used that money for, like,
100%.
payments for the house. Like, the interest rate going up.
Hindsight's 20/20. But the feeling that I had of everyone I love in my life being in the same room.
For you.
Well, it's not even for me. Just being all together. Like, that will never happen again.
Yeah.
Of every single person I love coming together in one room.
Yeah.
It was a very magical experience. We also didn't have a massive wedding.
You also had a beautiful wedding, too.
Well, it was like 110 people. So it wasn't huge.
But, like, it was very enchanted and beautiful. Like, it was like I've never been to a wedding like that before.
Yeah, and also, like, I don't know, we didn't have that many friends there. We had a lot more family. So it just felt very, like, I don't know, like a big family get together. It was just really nice. So I really enjoyed it. I don't necessarily think you need to. I don't know if they're super overrated. I think it's like you said, kind of like it really depends. But I think putting your money towards something like that's an investment is definitely smart.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. Okay, so this will be the last one. And I think that I would also love to know your unpopular opinions, and we can maybe talk about that in a future episode. But figuring out your life/career either by the time you're 30 or in your 30s. What are your thoughts? Yes or no?
I'm iffy about it because it's like by the time you're in your 30s, you definitely have a lot more figured out. You have more experience. You know more about what you like, what you dislike. Like you've got a lot of experience from your 20s. Like in your 20s, you're already working and like learning about yourself and and knowing like what you're good at, what you like, what you don't like. So I think that in your 30s, it's definitely more common to have it figured out. But still in the grand, like the big picture, it's like your 30s is still so young. I know so many people, like not personally, just online and like motivational speakers that I've seen like TED Talks and stuff talking about how a lot of the times people started businesses in their 40s or even 50s and only then they knew what they wanted to do and they knew themselves and what they wanted to be working towards for the rest of their life, you know?
I think this is something that I listened to recently, and this really amazing businesswoman, her name is Jacqueline Johnson, and she was on an episode with Mariana Hewitt, and she was saying how it's okay for your dreams to change. Like, you want this dream life and this dream job, 10 years down the road, that might not be something that you want anymore. And that's okay.
Fine.
Things change and you need to be adaptable. Normal. And things change so quickly that, like, don't feel bad if something that you were so passionate about, let's say in your 20s, and let's say it works out or it doesn't work out, and then you want to switch complete goals in your 30s, that's okay. And then you can do the same thing in your 40s. Like, it's okay to switch what you want to do. There is no specific timeline for anything, although we all feel that pressure. Yeah. 100%. I just think that there's not like a straight line that you have to follow and a single path. There's so many different things and opportunities to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually think that sometimes change is good. Like you grow. Yeah, you grow, and the more you know, the better, right? Like the more experience, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I just think that we're expected, at least in like nowadays in society, you need to have everything like figured out when you're so young. Like, for example, you graduate high school, and then in Quebec at least, it's like you graduate high school in grade 11, so you're either 16 or 17, and then you have to choose what program you want to go into, then like university, and it's like you're so young. How do you know that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life? I know. And that's why it's so frustrating to me that people in the States have to pay so much money for school, because like here at least we can kind of jump around. It's not as expensive as you know, that's just, it's crazy to me. But yeah, these are unpopular opinions. Feel free to share yours in the comments, or, you know, you can message us at tellmesispodcast on Twitter, on Instagram. You can email us. And I definitely think that this could be a fun series for us to start, and we can even react to some of yours. So leave them down below, and we will talk to you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.